We're talking about the history of the Netherlands via Suibhne. Short and sweet type video. Glad you guys are here. It is so cold in my house. Let's go.
This episode is supported by Audible. Amazon Prime members can get an incredible 66% off their first 3 months at audible.com/SUIBHNE, only available for a limited time, so sign up fast.
Die moerassige en riviergevouwde lage landen was een onbevolkt gebied onder het Heilige Roomse Rijk.
Is this all going to be in Dutch? Maybe not. The swampy and river-snaked Low Countries were a sparsely populated area under the HRE.
Waar zij er goed waren het bouwen van dijken, kanalen en windmolens om water uit hun land te pompen.
Yeah, they had to make the most out of their land. I mean, when you have the lowlands and it floods a lot and you have a lot of, marshes and so forth, you got to irrigate it correctly.
In één Europa's handelscentrum en één broodman te creëren. Die vroege Nederlanders werden beroemd om handel, scheepsbouw en hydro-engineering. En de Frankische taal die daar werd gesproken, begon te evolueren naar de Nederlandse taal. Of de taal van het Lage Land. En dus werden de Nederlanders geboren.
Be a very short video. So even after the intro, we got 6 minutes to go.
Feudalism held sway in the land, and as the trade increased, the cities of Amsterdam, Brugge, and Antwerpen prospered.
Yeah, okay, so trade, mercantilism, the HRE, it seems like all encompasses this region. Very, in proximity, the English Channel and the ocean is going to be the lifeline of these places, and so forth.
Soon, these trading posts became more and more integrated into the Hanseatic League.
Yes, that's a great point. Hanseatic League, we talked about that most. Hanseatic League, obviously more the northern sphere of the influence when it comes to the Baltic Sea, as well as like northern Germany and also places like London. But this almost operated like a mafia in the name of commerce.
A sort of trade agreement in the North Sea after the Viking raids had ceased. Through both conquest and inheritance, the Dutch counties came under the control of the House of Burgundy, who then passed it on to the Austrian House of Habsburg. They pulled the Netherlands out of the Hanseatic League and then took over control of trade themselves.
We haven't talked much about Burgundy, so if you guys have any videos specifically about that, let me know.
This is known as the era of the 17 provinces, but by this point the merchants had begun to embrace Calvinist Protestantism. This led to the Dutch Revolt, also known as the 80 Years' War, also known as the Dutch War for Independence. The war was a complex mix of secular, religious, and mercantile motives, but saw the northern provinces unite in the Treaty of Utrecht against the Spanish Union of Arras. The Spanish marched north though and managed to take back most of the south. In 1581, the United Provinces
And we're like, why the heck is Spain in the Netherlands when you got France in between them? The Habsburgs is the answer here. And their road from northern Italy to wasn't it through forget the city, one of the big cities down there, northern Italy, but they basically had a road network from Spain, northern Italy, straight to the Netherlands, the Spanish Netherlands.
declared themselves free and independent, and the war became about securing that declaration. During the war, the Protestants in the south fled to the north, and the French Calvinists, called the Huguenots, followed suit,
Yeah, the Huguenots.
making Netherlands a firmly Protestant-controlled nation. And in 1588 became a confederated republic because they couldn't really find a good king. Instead, they instituted the stadholders with the House of Orange-Nassau, but only with the province's approval. The Dutch
Stadholders were stateholders, but there were some periods where no one held office.
were very good at two things by this point: water and money. So they combined them and formed the Verenigde Oostindische Company.
Yeah, the VOC. This is obviously we did some videos on them before. Such a lucrative trading empire that is built off the backs of colonialism, but also just like I said, lucrative trade in the East Indies, as its namesake, East India Company.
Begin trade in the Indian Ocean.
The Dutch East India Company, basically.
The Dutch Revolt overlapped with the broader 30 Years' War, in which Spain was defeated and finally recognized as independent in the Peace of Westphalia. Jewish settlement increased as the tolerance of the new republic was appealing to the persecuted Sephardic Jews, as well as growth in the small community of Ashkenazi Jews. The VOC brought immense wealth to the Dutch Republic, revolutionizing modern banking and finance. Dutch citizens enjoyed shares in the company, helping spread the
Yeah, like starting like it's revolutionized in terms of the progressive nature of the economy. I believe in Amsterdam you get the first stock market. So he said shares. So like you get the first stock market, get stocks and shares. Basically a modern economy is kind of born in Amsterdam, then follows shortly after in London. But and where a lot of Dutch bankers went to eventually as well. So like it's almost like a remnants of the Hanseatic League, but on steroids.
wealth more evenly. This fueled the Dutch golden ages of art, architecture, and building of universities, making huge strides in science and medicine. The VOC dominated trade for half a century, founding trade colonies all over the world. It wasn't all rainbows and sunshine. The VOC operated with little to no oversight and were often very violent and
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, look at that. Just insane. You have, I don't know what Caribbean island that is, but you basically have the entire world. The sun never set on the Dutch Empire at this point. If you considered the VOC an extension of the Dutch Empire, which I did.
engaged heavily in the slave trade.
Yes.
They
The East and the West.
eventually lost this dominance to the English, but their legacy as engineers and shipbuilders and financiers continued to spur growth. This became aggravated by Dutch merchants lending money to foreign powers, thereby protecting and growing their own wealth, which simultaneously stagnated the economy in the Netherlands while propping up foreign nations. But, you know, that's capitalism for you. The decline in prosperity and the devastating Anglo-Dutch wars soon made them prime targets for French revolutionaries overthrew the Dutch and created the Batavian Republic, then a monarchy under Napoleon's brother before final annexation into the French Empire, including the southern Netherlands. When Napoleon was defeated, the Congress of Vienna created the United Kingdom of the Netherlands, merging with the southern Netherlands to create a buffer state between France and the German states. William I of the House of Orange was made king. However, it was pretty short-lived because the southern Netherlands was almost all Catholic, and the French language was far more important there. The South fought an independence war and broke away from the Dutch, forming the nation of Belgium. The Dutch returned to their economic ways and were decidedly neutral during the First World War. After the chaos died down, they found themselves battling the Great Depression mostly by furthering trade with their colonies in Suriname and the Dutch East Indies. This was halted during the Second World War, in which the Netherlands was invaded to bypass the Maginot Line. The small country fell to the Germans and its Jewish population were deported and killed in the Holocaust.
It's horrible, man.
Rotterdam, the second largest city and major trade port, was firebombed and completely destroyed by the Luftwaffe. The Dutch East Indies was lost to Japan in 1942.
Operation Market Garden was part of a larger strategy to cross the Rhine River to advance into the northern Netherlands and northern Germany, but it was deadlock and they ultimately failed to capture the crossing at Arnhem in September of 1944. Instead, the troops would concentrate on Wesel and Ries on the Rhine to liberate the Netherlands, punching a deep hole through German territory and invading from the east. This incredible military achievement saw the greatest paratrooper landing in history,
Really? Don't know much about this.
with more than 1.2 million allies involved, a massive success for the allies who were able to advance around the Dutch choke point. You can learn more about this real-world event in the incredible audiobook 4 Hours of Fury by James M. Fenelon, for free for new members when you sign up for Audible. An extremely well-researched and well-documented narrative of the battle, for which he had a special interest as a paratrooper himself. And there is a special deal for Amazon Prime members. Send off your listen to the copious month for I. Follow me.
Oh, that's it.
Shooting for the allies who
Like I said, very short and sweet, guys. Now I know the Netherlands have a lot more history than this. This is like oversimplified. I mean, the Netherlands as a whole, I mean, the nation state that we know of Netherlands today might be quite newer than places like France, Germany, etc. But in the scheme of things, this territory that we call the Netherlands today has had a deep history throughout history, right? That's redundant, but that makes sense, right? It's had a deep, deep history. Please litter my comments with suggestions of particular channels or particular videos that we could deeply enrich ourselves with more knowledge around the Netherlands' history, because I am interested. Thank you as always. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Also, add some context to this video if you have any besides the video suggestions. Peace out. Bye-bye.